Check one, two. Howdy, howdy. Just make sure you unmute your audio.
Yo,
There you are.
can you see me?
Yeah, I can see it. I can hear you. You're good.
Hey, Daryl, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. So we haven't started yet. I just want to go over a couple things.
Okay.
So we have the new album that comes out June 20th, correct?
Yes,
Cool. Are you going to have singles out or is that just the album?
we are. We are. Is a single. It was released last Monday. We have a new video. I'm about to approve. Will come out. So we are. We
Okay.
are single. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll ask you about that. See, are you doing, you're always kind of playing live. Are you always touring or?
Yeah. As much as I can. I'm always. I'm touring behind the record for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, that's it. So we'll talk about the record. We'll talk about, I know you had a lot of guest artists on the record. We'll
Yep.
talk about touring. You have some big fans that we all know and love. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Um,
Luckily. Yeah. Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, it's good to have fans. Okay, cool. So let me leave a little bit of space and then we'll start.
Where are you? What? Look at that great studio behind you. You're not kidding around. What a great studio. Where are you?
Well, that's my fake virtual studio.
Oh, you know what? I should. I never thought about that. That's a great idea. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know how to do that, but I should put the Roman
yeah.
the Roman Colosseum behind me or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great. Actually, it's funny. I interviewed Joe Bonamassa a couple of weeks ago, and he thought he was the same thing. He's like, "Oh, that looks real." I'm like, "That's it's fake."
No, it looks really good. That's a nice look. I'm just in my old apartment in New York City, but yeah. Anyway, the Roman Colosseum coming up.
That sounds good. All right, cool. So let me leave a little bit of space, then we'll get going. Let me know when you're ready. You good? Okay.
I'm good.
Mr. Willie Nile, how you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing, Daryl?
I'm very good. So you're coming to us from your apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
You have the nice vibe going on there. You have a lot going on. You have a new album. You had just released a new single. You touring all the time. I know I was checking out your schedule and your music. It's great stuff. You have a lot of very big fans and supporters, many of whom we all know and love. So tell me about the new album and how that got to put together because I know you have a lot of guest stars.
Well, the album is called The Great Yellow Light. And the title was inspired by Vincent van Gogh's letters to his brother Theo. When Van Gogh moved to the south of France, in Arles, France, in 1888, he was writing. He wrote his brother all the time anyway. But he wrote about the great yellow light. The light there was really. He said it was something he'd been looking for all his life. And for me, the song, the title track, is not about Van Gogh, but it's about awe and wonder. So for me, uh, uh, the Great Yellow Light, the song itself, and the title of the album is about awe and wonder. But that's
Yeah, and it's kind of about him finding inspiration in that light.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm a photographer, so I can relate to that.
yeah, yeah. The photo was taken by Christina Aragoni, my wife, who's a great photographer. And it's a photo of a small one-tent circus in the Italian Alps. She took her son to some years ago, and I remember seeing the photo and immediately went, "That's an album cover."
Mm,
And it's a guy blowing. I got it right here. It's a fire eater. He's blowing
right.
fire. But the coolest thing for me, I like is if you look close, there's a little kid peeking through
Yeah,
a,
I can see it. Yeah.
a hole in the curtain, little Charlie Chaplin moment. And in the back cover, that fire eater's got a flame on his in his mouth and on his hand. And I love it. So Christine,
Yeah.
she's a great photographer, and I'm thrilled with the artwork and thrilled with the album. The album, we made it quickly in November, December, on whatever days we got in the studio. And there's some great guests on it. Steve Earle, does a duet with me on a song called "Wake Up America." Um, Paul Brady, legendary Irish singer-songwriter. He's Paul 77, and when there's a song called "An Irish Goodbye." And when we were recording it, Stuart Lerman, my co-producer, said, what if we ask Paul Brady if he wants to sing on it? Apparently they're good buddies. I met Paul
Mm,
once, but it was years ago. And he's a great, iconic artist in Ireland. And the song An Irish Goodbye is a big sing-along, drinking, I wrote it about mortality. An Irish goodbye is when you leave an event without saying goodbye, to those
yeah.
who don't know. And it's not offensive in any way, but I wrote about the Big Irish Goodbye, and it came out great with Paul Brady on it and members of Black 47, great Irish punk band. Larry Kerwin, Chris Byrne, and Fred Parcells are on it, which I'm thrilled about. And the Hooters, Rob Hyman and Eric Bazillion. Rob's on 6 songs. He plays keyboards and accordion, and Eric plays guitar and sings on 2 songs. They both sing on it, and Waddy Wachtel, legendary LA
Yeah.
session man. I mean, Waddy's a good friend, and I'm a lucky dude, and David Mansfield, legendary multi-instrumentalist, played,
Mm.
the Rolling Thunder Review. He plays T-Bone Burnett stuff, a million projects. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting people, but I'm a lucky dude with all those. James Maddock. I don't know if you know about James Maddock or your listeners. I've been in New York City 53 years. James is from Leicester, England, and he's been here almost 25 years in New York. And he is the best singer-songwriter. I've seen the whole CBGB scene, the acoustic scene. James Maddock is a great singer-songwriter in his own right, and he's got a great voice, and he sings on a ton of the songs. Plus, my band, Johnny Paisano on bass, Jimmy Bones on guitar, and John Weber on drums. Great, great band. So it's a great team, and I'm a lucky dude to get to bring my songs to life with this cast of characters. Pretty
Yeah, and
lucky.
the music is awesome. It's like straight up like rock and roll, but vintage vibe, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. Like you said, the accordion. There are a lot of very organic rock and roll sounds, which I kind of grew up loving. you know.
Thank you for saying that, Daryl. As you can hear, we're in New York City. During COVID, during COVID, you can hear a siren in the background every 15 minutes. It was like really so bizarre. Nobody in the streets,
Right.
people behind the walls. No, the streets were empty of cars, and that sound all the time. Yeah,
Mm.
that reminds me of that. Anyway, so I'm lucky. And like the opening track, "Wow Wow World," has Rob Hyman plays Farfisa on it. It's like a '60s vibe. What I love about it, the song is like "Wow Wow World." It is a crazy world out there, and it's a party song for the insanity of all of it. And I'm really happy with how the record came out. It doesn't suck. It doesn't suck.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. The production's awesome. Tell me about the producer because he's quite a well-known guy in his own right. Stuart Lerman.
Stuart Lerman, I've been working with Stuart. I met him in '87, and he is a dear, dear friend. He does all Martin Scorsese's projects since The Aviator.
Wow.
He won Grammy for I can't remember the Boardwalk Empire. Been nominated for Grammys. He's worked with Elvis Costello, Patti Smith, a ton of people. I mean, a lot. And he's a really good guy and a great producer. What he brings to the table is he's got a great sense of groove, like that's a little bit on the edge. Pull it back a bit, or maybe push it. And he's so much fun to work with. I love him. He's a dear, beloved brother, and as are all these guys, are dear friends. I mean, how many people get to say that they get to work with people that they love like that? I'm lucky. My dad reminds me of that a lot. My father's 107 and a half,
Wow.
and he's doing great. He's in Buffalo,
Awesome.
still lives at home, and does takes no medication, doesn't take naps, has a happy hour every day, does 3 or 4 hours of crossword puzzles a day, reads book. I mean, he's getting there. His legs are getting weak and stuff, but he's still going. He's still sharp, still funny. And when he'll say to me, "How you doing? How's it going?" And I go, "Well, I'm really working hard. I'm busy." He goes, "Yeah, but you get to do what you love. You're a lucky guy. Not many people get to do that." And so it's not. I don't miss that, even though I'm working hard. I'm grateful and appreciative of that I get to do what I love.
Yeah, it is. That is a very rare thing. I'm kind of the same way. I'm a musician and I'm a photographer doing the podcast stuff, and it's really fun to. It's something that's music touches your soul, as we know, and it's an important thing, right?
It really is. It does. I always say life is hard. People die. Like look what's going on in the world. And music can pick you up. I write songs for me. I write things that I care about, whether it's love, loss, party on a Saturday night, politics, surreal, whatever, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I love that having a big palette like that. That's what I love about rock and roll. You can write about anything, and I get to do what I love, and it can pick you up. It picks me up, And like I tell the band, if it means something to us, it might mean something to somebody else in the audience. And our shows are feel good shows,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of the band. They're great guys and great players.
Yeah, I think, too, like you said, that in this world, there's so much chaos and crap going on. So when people come see you and they invest their time and their
Yeah,
money to come see you,
yeah.
that's such a powerful thing, right?
It better be good. If somebody's going to spend money and spend time in this world with a million things to do. But yeah, I find it's surprising to me. I'll be signing CDs after, or saying hello to people after a show. You'd be surprised how many people come up and say, I've been having a really rough time. I haven't been out to a show in 6 months. My mom died, or my mate died, or whatever. And so a friend said, "Oh, you should go see a Willie Nile show. You'll feel better." And at one time, there were two people in line with the same story that I feel so much better. Thank you. It's a pick me up, and music picks me up. And this record is a feel good record. I mean, it's got meat to it. It's not. There's no. It's not a puff piece. It's a real record about real life. But it's a feel good record. It's. I'm proud of that. I like life is tough, and if I can bring some light into the darkness, you know, however small, it's worth doing.
Yeah, that's important. That's why the arts are important in general. Just
Yeah.
it takes people away to a different place. Tell me about songwriting for you. Is that a collaborative thing? Is it kind of a lonely thing with you, or how does
It's
that work?
usually, it's usually I've always when I first started writing, I was writing poetry when I was in high school, and I turned it into songs. I learned to play the guitar, and I played the piano before that. But once I learned to play the guitar, I put it into songs. I usually just write by myself. There's a buddy of mine, Frankie Lee, who I've written with over the years. Um, we do it still occasionally. Great songwriter. On this album, I think there's a couple that I wrote with Frankie. There's We Are We Are. I wrote with Frankie. There's What Color Is Love. I wrote with Frankie. You know, and it's generally I write by myself. Occasionally, like with the Hooters, that Washington State just happened years ago.
Mm.
I was signed to Columbia, and I went by the studio to play a new song for the producer, and they were mixing a song called Washington State for a Hooters album. We're talking 88 or 87.
Right.
I just signed to Columbia Records, and the band wasn't there that day, and they were under the gun with a tour booked. And I'm in the back of the room listening. They were mixing Washington State, and he said there's no lyrics. They just had this track, and it was all done, but without words. And I'm in the back of the room hearing this, and to me, it sounded like "Let It Be." And
Mm.
words started coming. I go, "Oh, I got an idea for you." And I wrote the lyrics for the song, and I've been for years wanting to put it out because it's a great song, and I love that it finishes the album. It's this big embrace at the end of the record. It's basically like Romeo and Juliet in Arlington National Cemetery,
Mm.
and it builds to a broader subject matter about war and peace. But generally, my songwriting, I'll get an idea on my own title. A piece of music comes to me. More often than not, it could be I'm so busy I don't pick up the guitar as much as I'd like to or the piano. I could get a title, and go
Right.
from there. But it's usually I pretty much write on my own for the most part.
Mm. Do you find like sometimes those songs? It's often said that some of the best songs are written in 10 minutes. Do you find like does that happen for you that way, or sometimes is it like a gift from who knows where?
They're definitely gifts, and they're definitely from who knows where. And like an Irish Goodbye came to me, just I was in my kitchen here in the village, and one of my daughters just gotten back from a trip to Ireland with her family, and an Irish Goodbye just passed. They had a great time. I thought that could be a title, and then right away, within seconds, I thought, well, what's the chorus? Like, is it worth pursuing? One thing
Mm.
about having written for so many years, you kind of know when to follow an instinct. And when I thought an Irish Goodbye, I go, could be a song. And I went, what's this? What's the chorus? And right away, an Irish Goodbye, an Irish Goodbye. Here's fire in your whiskey. Here's mud in your eye. It's high time to leave here. It's my turn to fly. I'll just take it. I'll just say an Irish Goodbye. And I went, oh man. I sat down and 45 minutes knocked it out. Sometimes, usually with me, it's pretty quick. I don't labor things over. I don't spend a year on a song. That doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah. If you overthink things, sometimes you kill the spirit of the spontaneity and the
mean, it works for some people. I think Paul Simon, from what I've read, can take a year or two on a song. For me, I just get them and go.
mm,
It's usually like that. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll
Who
wake
are
up sometimes from a dream. I'll wake
uh,
up and I'll go, oh, what? Something happened the other night. This line came to me. I go, what? And I just grab my phone and hit, uh, what do you call it? Voice memo.
right.
And I went, beep, 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 whatever, into the phone. And it's a really good one. I just got to find the time to write it. But yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of songwriters too. They talk about having like a notepad and a pencil next to their bed because that happens. You wake up, you like
Yeah.
you don't want to lose the idea, right?
Yeah, I don't. That's too prepared for me. But like and nor do I sit down to write. I just write when the inspiration strikes. I mean, I
Mm.
could sit down and go, oh, let me write a song for such and such. I've just never done that. I just wait until inspiration strikes. Whether it's uh, you know, Wild Wild World, or a song like "Trying to Make a Living in the USA," which is I go, oh, that could be a song. And I just follow when I think it could be something fun or meaningful, or both.
Mm. Who are some of your early influences, people that you grew up listening to that really made a difference for you?
As a kid, I mean, I'm older. I'm 77 in like 2 weeks. I'm practically dead.
Ah, you're young. Come on.
Well, Dad's
But I
107.
say compared to dad, you're young.
Knock on wood, and I still feel the same passion and fire I felt when I first moved here years ago in New York. So when I was a kid, my older brothers, had the radio on and brought rock and roll records home. So I caught that first wave of rock and roll. Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino. I played piano in Fats Domino. Jerry Lee Lewis, another piano player.
Right.
Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly. I'm an official ambassador of the Buddy Holly Educational Foundation.
Awesome. Yeah.
Crazy story. In fourth grade, I took 2 quarters to a walk by myself, a couple blocks to a record store, and I'd never been in a record store in my life. And I said, do you have Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly? I'm just a kid, and they got, yeah, I gave me a 45. I gave him 2 quarters. Came home, played it 1,000 times. Really changed my life. I just loved it. And then, just loved rock and roll. And then the British invasion hit. I mean, you had all the great Motown, British invasion, Bob Dylan, another complete different chapter in music. He changed everybody affected everybody else, and to the Ramones, the Clash, I mean, Leonard Cohen, Tom Waits. Oh, it's a wide palette. I like all kind. I love classical music.
Hmm.
I like all kinds of stuff. But so my growing up, I would say, Buddy Holly, Everly Brothers, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, big time. Elvis Presley. Dylan for sure. The Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, the Who. In 1980, I put my first record out. And I'll say this: there's a cop car. They're coming for me. I'll probably have to leave in a few minutes.
Hey, it's the New York ambiance. It's all
The
good.
New York, the New York, the New York ambiance. What was I going to say? What we're just talking about. Um,
Put your first record out and
so in 1980, if you'd have told me that when I graduated from the University of Buffalo, 72, 71, moved to New York, I had songs. I thought, well, these aren't bad. I'll just go to try to make records. I didn't care about being famous. That's never was an interest of mine. That's like, really? That's like,
yeah, you're just doing the work and
being rich I'd be fine with that. The money, I'd be a good rich guy. But I just doing the work is the joy in it, writing it, feeling it, recording it, bringing it to life. And so if you'd have told me in 1972 that I would have, my record came out in 1980, it was a struggle to get there, but I got there. If you'd have told me that I would have got to open for the Who across the U.S., I'd have thought you were nuts. And I toured across the U.S. in 1980, the first band I ever had, because I played solo acoustic in a village. That's how I got my record deal. I had no
right.
money. I was broke as a church mouse. I couldn't afford players, and I didn't want to join a group. Had no interest in that. I just wanted to play my songs. And I did my first tour was across the U.S. Ended up in the last show was at L.A. at the Roxy. Freddie Mercury came out to the show. Graham Parker, a bunch of people came out to see the new Hot Shot from New York because I was getting a truckload of press.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. I got great
Well,
press.
you developed some really influential fans. Pete Townsend amongst them, but it's a long list, which we'll go over in a second.
Someone at the record company, Arista Records, told me that early on that Pete Townsend was a fan of the record, and I just thought to myself, yeah, sure he is. I didn't believe it. And when I played the Roxy after the show, the Who's manager, Bill Kerbersley, came backstage. And I love Bill, dear friend to this day, as is Pete and Roger. They've been so good to me. And he loved the show that he saw that night and asked if I wanted to open up. They were touring across the U.S. They actually kicked off the opening band that they were opening, and we got to tour across the whole U.S. opening for the Who.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? And and the record company didn't want to pay for it. They thought, well, the record's over. No, not this time. What? And so I went to Bill Kerbersley and I said, Bill, I mean, I had a lot of champions in a lot of different places, and and I don't have record company horror stories to tell. People tried for me. It's nothing's easy. It's a
Right.
tough. All businesses are tough. So people tried for me. Clive Davis did. Rick Chertoff did at Columbia. There was a lot of people that believed in the music and tried for me, and I'm grateful for that. I don't take stuff for granted, like, oh, I got a raw deal. No, I didn't. I've been able to make records. That's not a raw deal. Sometimes it could be right time, right place. That's a different story. Anyway, so I got to tour across the U.S. So every night, going from playing 300 capacity places, all of a sudden it's 20,000. And I just started playing with a band, and I fearless. I didn't care. I go, bring it on.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose, right?
Nah, nothing. And someone from the record company said, they said, they warned me. He said, Bruce Springsteen got booed off the stage. He got booed in the Garden in '76, opening up for Chicago, and it kept him away from big venues for a while. And I go, you know what? I appreciate you looking out for me, but I'm a Who fan. I'm doing this for fun. I literally said yes. We had no money, so I told Bill Kerbersey, I can't afford to do it, and he said, ask your road manager to put a budget together and get them back to me. Who says that?
Wow. Yeah.
We did, and they paid for it. We were flying. I mean, it was like six people, four guys in the band. Great band, by the way. J.D. Doherty, Fred Smith, Clay Barnes, you know, um, and we toured across, the U.S. Peter Hoffman was a great band, and with the Who, night after night. Come on.
Yeah, you get to watch them too, right? It's a double bonus.
And I told the guy from the record company who said, it could be a risky thing. I went, I don't care. I'm a fan. I'm doing this for fun. And I had no manager at the time. I had one, but I had to fire him. That's another story. And nothing's easy, but nothing's easy in any. We could be shoemakers. Everything's tough. I,
Right.
I got to make music. I got to make records. I got to tour with the Who. I toured with Ringo Starr. I got to sing the last night of the Ringo Starr tour. I get by with a little help from my friends with Ringo. Are you kidding me? I played Giant Stadium with Bruce Springsteen in front of 70,000 fans going nuts for Bruce.
Right.
Shea Stadium, 60,000 people, deafening crowds. Half an hour, both times on stage, having a good time. So, I work hard and nothing's easy, and there's definitely ups and downs. And then when you try to make a living as a musician, it ain't easy. I raised four kids on fumes, but I did it, you
Yeah.
know. And
I love, first of all, I love your attitude. The other thing I love is that you mentioned all your band members, which is awesome, because a lot of guys don't think about that. And as a bass player, I'm very appreciative of that.
look, I've been really lucky with the bands I've had. I've had great bands. That first band with the Who, Peter Hoppin and Clay Barnes. Peter Hoppin was a real Stonesy, and Clay was like Beatley, country edge, great. And J.D. Doherty and from Patti Smith's band and Fred Smith from Television.
Right.
Come on. And in 1990, my band, I had Stuart Smith on lead guitar. Stuart Smith, he's been with the Eagles for 20 years. There's no Eagles shows without him. He played with Rodney Crowell, Rosanna Cash. Not to hold the Eagles up as, like the Stones or anything, but like
Yeah.
Stuart Smith is one of the great guitar players. If you go to YouTube and you Google some of the greatest solos of all time. And Stuart Smith, it's Steuart, Smith,
Hmm.
Steuart. There's a solo. Go, what? He was with Rodney Crowell. And Stuart Lerman was in that band. He was the music director. Joy Askew, who toured with Peter Gabriel, great keyboard player, great singer. Um, uh, Frank, what's his name? Great drummer. Can't remember his last name. And Paul, Brian Stanley on bass. It may come to me. And Krista, what do you need? Oh, go ahead. You can grab your computer. The world won't go down. Well, actually, the world might fall to pieces if you don't grab your computer. Hey, my wife needed a computer. I'm sorry, people. So this is New York living. But
Hey, it's all good.
that band, Frank Velarde, he played with Suzanne Vega.
Yeah.
Great. I remember doing sound checks, and I would hear Joy Askew sing, and I thought, what am I doing singing when I got a singer like that in the band? And in the late '90s, I had an amazing band. Andy York, lead guitar. He's been with Mellencamp for over 20 years, and he is one of the greats. As everybody I've mentioned are all amazing players. Rich Pagano, one of the great drummers, the Fab Four. He's played with Dylan, a bunch of people, and uh, Brad Albetta on bass. It was a tight, tough ass band, and I did it just to try out some new songs, and the reaction was so good. I said, let's go in and at least record them for posterity. It came out so good, it ended up being a beautiful record of the world, which restarted my career because I put it on my own label
Awesome.
and I started putting records out on my own. So I've been blessed with bands, and my guys now, Jimmy Bones, Johnny Paisano, and John Weber. John Weber's the loudest drummer you're ever gonna hear, and Jimmy Bones. These guys are like they're road guys. And the thing about everybody I've mentioned, nobody phones it in. Everybody, I don't know why, but they all care. Like I'm on stage, they're my songs. Obviously, I care. I'm living and dying with these things, and so are they. They give it. Nobody phones it in. So I'm a one lucky dude. I've said it about 10 times, but I'm deeply grateful. The musicians that I get to play with, the team that helps me make these records. This new album, the great, I just found out we're going to get some kind of a great review in Mojo, and I'm, you make the records as best you can. I don't make them to get famous and stinking rich. Hell yeah, bring it on. But like, I make them because I love them. It's a labor of love, but it was talk about jumping off a cliff. Us, the people that are musicians, yourself, you know what that is. The guys in my band, that's how they survive.
Right.
And that's not easy. The ebbs and flows of the music business, the whims. You're really taking a risk. So these are all lifers, people who's given their lives towards this. And here's to the arts, whether it's photography, music, film, painting, you know, street artists. God bless them all. It just adds to the richness of our lives. So
Yeah, and it's great to have musicians that are all in, right? They're like you said, they're not phoning it in. They do it like they mean it. And
yeah,
it's rare. As you go through and you meet people and you see other musicians and other artists, like the ones that fully commit,
oh yeah,
those are the ones, like you said, it's not about the money, it's about doing a good job. And
like
it's so
lifers,
important.
people that the music's passionate, and we got this. I got this. This doesn't suck. It's called The Great Yellow Light. I'm so proud of this record. The artwork. I mean, look at these guys. A couple of clowns, and like, and this dude on the back. What was he thinking when he decided to? What was he thinking when he decided to have a career?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I'll be a fire eater. What the heck?
Willie,
Anyway,
what's because I know you're essentially you're an independent artist. That's where you're.
absolutely,
Yeah, that's where you are. Um,
absolutely.
give some advice to people like maybe young folks that want to try the path of music. As we know, it's challenging. But what are some of the key things that you've learned along the way?
I'll give you two pieces of advice. One was my father's advice early on. I moved here in 72 to New York City. I've been here 53 years. And New York City is just an amazing place. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it can be tough, but it's taught me so much. I've got a degree in philosophy from the University of Buffalo, but I've learned so much from living in this city, and I get to in and out of it. So I get to travel. But after the first year, my dad and Ma came to visit. He go, "How's it going?" And I said, "That's pretty rough. It's slim pickings." And he says, "Well, look," he said, I was young and a kid. He said, "You don't want to You don't want to be in your 70s looking back, wishing, I wish I'd done that. He said, give it all you got. He says, if it's a hard road, the success will be all the sweeter. I'll never forgot that. And the other thing I would say is like follow your dreams, follow your instincts. If you believe in it, if it means something to you, it might mean something to somebody else. Do it for yourself, you know. Don't try to please an audience. Do it for yourself. Follow your heart and your instincts. And wherever it leads, you'll know at least you gave it your best shot. And I'd say believe in your dreams because look at my story. You never, and it's not been an easy one with ups and downs. You never know where it's going to take you. The things that I mean, I got to sing with Ringo Starr, play with Bruce Springsteen, tour with the Who, Richard Thompson, Lucinda Williams. I mean, come on. So
Yeah, it's a good life, right?
it's not been easy, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Even the hard times. I would say this to anybody: even the hard times you can learn from. You can learn more from the hard times. I was talking to my dad. I go to Buffalo as often as I can. That's where he lives, and he's 107. Whenever there's a break, I go to Buffalo.
Oop. I lost you for a second here.
I said,
There
something.
you are.
I mean, when my first record came out in 1980, the hype was just it was too much. I was like the next big thing, like really, two double page spread in Billboard, NME, you name it, Time Magazine, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, the next Bob Dylan, the next Buddy Holly, all this stuff, which I was grateful for. But I was old enough that it didn't. I had two kids to support and a wife,
Right.
and it didn't throw me. I just thought, well, maybe this means that I might be able to make some money. The press meant a lot to me because it gave me some validation. And there came a point when that's so great. But I said to my dad, something, had in 1980, when my first record came out, had I made a fortune, had I become really famous, I'd probably be dead by now. And the other thing is, through the 80s, I had four children. I have four kids and four grandchildren. In the 80s, my kids grew up I moved back. I walked away from the music business in 82. I made two albums, and I was going to arbitration with a former manager, and during the day and playing gigs at night. And I went, they're killing my buzz. I said to my wife, I go, they're killing my buzz for music. Let's get the hell out of here. Literally, and I just walked away. I went, fuck this. I'm getting out of here. And so I moved back to Buffalo, and after 2 years, I had a song, I want to make another album, couldn't get arrested. It took me 9 years before the next record came out. So my kids, instead of growing up with silver spoons in their mouths, they grew up in the 80s, seeing their dad, struggle, for something he cared about. And,
Right.
and now they're adults. They're not spoiled. They're great people. We're all close. So had I hit the jackpot money wise, commercial wise, because I already have hit the jackpot. Success is something we could talk about. There's commercial success.
Right.
As Levon Helm, I gave Levon Helm in 2006 a copy of a new album, Streets of New York. I gave it to Levon. I did a gig with him up in Woodstock. That guy loved him. And I give it to him and he goes, he's holding this album, Streets of New York. He goes, every time we do one of these, he goes, every time we do one of these, it's a victory. It's a victory. It's a victory. It's a victory in his Arkansas drawl. And so there's all kinds of success just getting to make this. Thank you, baby Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all kinds of success, but like, who knows? Had I made it big back then, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I've as you get old, I'm 60, and as you get older, you realize, looking back, like there is a plan. You may not like how it goes down at the moment, but it
Yeah,
gets to the other side where, and it's great that you're so appreciative of all the awesome moments in your life. That's such a great thing.
I'm very aware of it. When I goofed off in high school, I was smart enough where I didn't have to pay attention, didn't have to study. I could just get by. And I had like an 87 average. in high school. I was chasing girls, partying with my buddies, whatever, drinking 6 packs on the railroad tracks in this near town, outside of town. Yeah, 6 pack of beer. Thanks a lot. Anyway, so with my with my small size, and so when it came time to apply for college, I wasn't getting into places I wanted to go to college, and I wasn't getting in. And I went to see my guidance counselor my senior year. I go, I'm having trouble here. He goes, well, there's a college north of Canton, Ohio, that they just built. I'm in Buffalo. They just built a new dormitory, and they need students. You might want to apply there. All the losers. That dormitory was filled with all the losers who couldn't get in anywhere else. It was a madhouse. But, and it was when my mom and my brother dropped me off. I remember watching them drive away, going, "What have I done?" You know, like, uh-oh. Yeah, I'm in the middle of, that was nothing. We were like 5 miles north of the city, cow pasture everywhere. What did I do? Well, it turned out that my roommate was a guitar player and had a guitar.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
And taught me there was nothing to do. I learned to play guitar, and I wouldn't be here where I am.
Yeah.
You know, I should look him up on Facebook, see if he's still alive, and just let him know that. You know?
Yeah, it's those little moments, it's those little forks in the road that, you know, you get the phone call and you have to make a choice what you're gonna do, and it's those little moments.
I'm gonna make a note of that. I'm gonna try to find that guy in Pittsburgh, Denny Wentz. And you know, I don't know if he's still around, but
yeah. Willie, tell people how they can find you online, like your website and all that stuff.
Yeah. So we're easy to find. Willie Nile, WILLIENILE, willienile.com. You can we're on all social media. The album will be available and other albums on all the streaming sites. I just finished a new video. I'm about to okay it like in a little while later this afternoon. For We Are. So if you go to YouTube, there's a great clip from January of the band and I in January. We do every year. It was the 25th year of this Parkinson's research charity called Light of Day.
Awesome.
And there's like 62 events it's like a Winterfest. The big show is on a Saturday night in Red Bank, New Jersey at the Count Basie Theater. And it used to be in Asbury Park, but the building is now they can't do shows there. And Springsteen's been a part of at least half of them. And he's every time he comes, he joins us for a song. God bless him. Very generous of him. And this January, we did my song One Guitar. If you go to YouTube and Google Willie Nile and Bruce Springsteen.
There's some great videos. I was checking that out.
At Light of Day. Oh, there's great clips of it, you know, and we burned the house down, and it's Bruce, you know.
Yeah.
And we've raised over $7 million over 25 years, over $7 million for Parkinson's research. Here's another thing. It's a bunch of musicians given of their time for a good cause, giving back, you know. And my ma used to always say it's better to give than to receive. And I used to tease her about it. Oh, come on, Ma. She knew I was kidding. But like, it's always joyful. And we've raised over $7 million for Parkinson's research, Parkinson's, ALS, and PSP. And the third year we did it, Michael J. Fox came, and he then started his own Parkinson's research, and they've raised tens of millions. So like one good deed caused another good deed. And at some point, I mean, people watching this or listening to this, so many of us know people who suffer from Parkinson's. It's a nasty business. ALS.
Yeah, my grandfather had that. Yeah.
It's nasty business. And once they find a cure for that, it's going to be a great day on planet Earth. Now that's something positive, you know, and I always say we'll have a big party and then the next day we'll find something else to go after. But that video clip on YouTube, you know, if anybody wondering what the music is like, who doesn't know, you know, what my music is like, what we do, go to YouTube and Google, you know, Willie Nile and Bruce Springsteen at Light of Day, and in January this year. And that says everything.
Yeah. And you know what? I love you know, yours is a name that I've always heard, and I love the music. I love the rock and roll, straight up, no nonsense, great playing, great production on the album. And I encourage everybody to check out the new album. It's going to be out June 20th. The Great Yellow Light. We Are. The single is already out. It just came out this week. It's available on all the streaming platforms, and I really encourage everybody to check out what you do, because you have a lifetime of great music. It's quite a legacy.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you. You know, I'm a lucky guy to get to do what I do. And in 2006, when I put out Streets of New York, I thought, you know what? I cannot control the record business. I can't control radio. I can't control what other. The only thing I can control is the songs I write and the records I make. And I thought, I'm just going to try to do masterpiece after masterpiece, try anyway, and build a catalog, a body of work. And I made 9 albums from 2009 to 2021, and they don't suck. You know, I've got a body of work, a catalog, which I'm really proud of. You know, I really am. And that's why I say believe in your dreams. Do the best you can at whatever you're doing. You know, give it. You put your shoulder against the wall and push, and just do your best. And I've done that, and I'm proud of it, and still knock on wood, rocking. But
Yeah.
I appreciate your kind words. I appreciate you taking the time to speak and to, you know, help put the word out about the great yellow light. Thank
Absolutely, and also too, everybody check out the tour schedule because you're always working, and
you.
I admire that. And rocking real hard too, which is great. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining me, Willie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, brother. You keep doing what you're doing, and you do a great job at it. And everybody listening, follow your dreams and hang and give it your best.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Thank you so much, Willie.
Thank you, brother. Take
All
care of
right,
yourself.
great, and
Cheers.
give your wife a high five for me.
Will do.
Awesome.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers to you, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.